Welcome back. We're watching some more Data Live, and of course there's no real escape from it. With the world in turmoil, the spacequakes can come along at any moment. Having more spirits just appear and be part of the cast and crew is always fun. Mainly because of the massive risks to human life, but also what kind of antics is Shido going to have to try and get around and just survive. Of course, we've seen him take out a high-powered princess. Now, first we've seen him calm down a very frantic princess, and now we're moving on to a very questionable puppeteer. Of course, with it running around the city, the AST not exactly helping matters. It does seem to be one way of calming them down, but I don't think we're going to have the fun-loving date that we saw him go on with Tog. At least not when there's a 15-foot rabbit stampeding around the city. Might put a damper on things. I wonder how exactly their home life is actually gonna go, considering they're now in close proximity, and after the events of the last night, it's gonna be awkward at breakfast. And if he continues to see more spirits and tries to get on with them, it's just gonna get even worse, isn't it? And considering that she is now separated away from that emotional support rabbit, is there going to be a severe risk of these spacequakes? Or is it, as I was thinking, with the forced pullover into this world? Any actual damage is just through Rampage not being able to contain herself. I still don't entirely see what help the organisation actually is, considering each of their little votes about what to say next has failed dramatically. And if we're on episode 5 now of this show, and we're getting the second spirit being introduced in the previous one, but still, is it going to be a kind of spirit of the week type show? Oh, today we'll be introducing so-and-so. I don't think so there was still some element of effect there, but still, there's any old kiss won't do. Ones that actually matter or have meaning is what seals away power. Otherwise, you just go around and assault people. Well, spirits. Does she even understand what it is that she's feeling? Considering that she has little concept of a lot of things in this world, just understanding basic emotions would be something that she would probably need to talk over with someone. And the fact that He reached out to her, noticed that she was missing the little hand puppet. Is she now going to latch onto him for support rather than the rabbit thingy? And it's just going to get worse over time. Depends on how you define it, but basic human emotion, one I wouldn't say is a failure. And you need to make sure that the ASD don't get wind of what's going on so they're not called out either and make things worse. Makes all the difference. She's very inventive with the names. Also, what does she have a name and Toka didn't? You're right. There's less rain, water. Does she not understand basic kindness? And how's it going to work if they walk past the window now and she sees them together? Actually, some decent-ish advice. Obviously not being able to fully explain the situation and what he means to all this big plan. But is she willing to eat while Yoshinon is still AWOL? I mean, there are plenty of restaurants and whatnot around. A hero. Well, when she has nothing else to rely on, having that she can pour a belief into. She may be a little too dependent on that rabbit. I don't think it was purposeful, more just that's his usual line of thinking, not trying to have anything behind it. He's treating her like he's her mother or something. I mean, actually make sure it's still not too hot, but I think that's, a good sign. But a nice home-cooked meal is the best way to raise your spirits. I'd be curious if she enjoyed it. Huh. Even when under assault, one doesn't want to respond in kind. Do you want those that whatever that saying is? So, despite being a little brash and maybe a little insulting, this is Yoshinon being her foil, her a way to call her back from the void of going too far. He'll be the, hero in the interim while the Yoshinon is still out there. How will she react to saying, yeah, you don't need Yoshinon anymore? Well, the closeness while they're falling in the... great timing. Oh, that's a useful ability. So now... if you had piped up a second or two ago, this might have been avoided. It's in the hands of the AST, right? Considering the format of this show, there's not much you can easily say about that either. Because to save the world, he has to continue going, even at the harm of her feelings and everything else. I like the military march kind of music to go along with this, considering where he's now headed. He's going into battle. And without help from the above. Excuse me? Was she waiting for him? If the communications is being jammed, is there cameras outside that saw him approach? Why is it glowing? How do you fail hot water and some leaves? Well, he can survive a sniper round. He'll just heal. We take advantage of the situation. A trade. Unconditionally. You get some personal space. I get unconditional name change. I think for the low price of her crawling off of him before there's a bigger issue at hand, a deal could be reached. And she did say she'd get off. Was that necessary? What was the flourish just there? Shower scene. But also, is she going to take kindly about him just crawling through her apartment trying to find that rabbit? Was that all like instant coffee and energy drink stuff? I didn't actually get a good look at that. Where did she get the pillows? Because he's snooping and searching around a girl's bedroom? It's on display right there. I guess he doesn't look up. Anything above 45 degrees? Nah, invisible. And now, after scurrying around her room, finding the rabbit, just sit down as though nothing's happened, nothing's wrong. She doesn't exactly have a sense of personal distance, but considering their current relationship, should they really? He might have forgotten the conversation they had before, but possible. And if there are cases of spirits... Oh, I don't think she's open to this conversation right now. She is holding the spirits personally accountable. How will her thoughts change there when she realizes the spacequakes aren't caused by the spirits themselves, possibly? But the situation they find themselves being brought into this world. Just because she has been rendered powerless doesn't mean that she hasn't had a part of it in before. He is a anomaly. Well, that's... I think a dialogue here, a exchange of information with the AST might actually be useful, but just because they're nice doesn't mean they might haven't inadvertently hurt people. He has been corrupted by the spirits. Is that what she's now thinking? Until they can find the exact cause of these space quakes. Well, they'd still keep an eye on them, as long as they aren't in the vicinity when a spacequake occurs. Won't be under... We're getting some intense music here, but also strangely reminds me of Power Rangers or something. And here she was just trying to find the toy, now under direct assault. Are the shots here like her activating it, or is it automatic just by presence of being a spirit? And through their actions, they have called something much worse. We're getting into some Ava moments. It's getting awfully chilly around here. The fact that you got, just by its mere presence, being able to put a frost in the vicinity. They'll be fine. Just, defrost them off. Is Toka going to get involved now? Seeing another spirit somewhat in danger. Much like Yoshinon being the one to be there when she needs it and cool her off. Is it itself now slightly out of control? No matter how hard she's trying right now with the powers being sealed away. Now are the ASD going to try and rush in, evacuate him from the area of the blast, or just stand around and watch a civilian get mutilated? How decent are they at their jobs? They stood back and let someone else do it. She turned and saw. She's partially activated her powers there. They're going to need a long talk after this. Just savings, simply in terms that she would understand. A spirit constantly under attack, not with no one to try and save her. He reached a hand to her. Why isn't he allowed to do the same for Yoshino? Also, with him being who he is, the sincerity in his voice, no games or anything, at least on? Well, maybe it's time to withdraw. Excuse me? Fighting fire of fire? Oh, the space quakes are destroying the city. Okay, we'll just level buildings as well. Unfortunately, now it's confirmed her worries that she's got her powers back a little. Since she is now the aggressor, she'll play decoy for a while. Considering before that she really didn't have to worry about them with all of their shots and everything. He might just get a touch of frostbite. Being shredded, having his skin torn from his frame. I think she just let something slip there. He has seen better days there, but got close enough to reach through when she's lost all hope there, in a darkness of her own bidding. Is she now going to be able to cool off the beast in the sudden winter? I mean, the sudden gratitude and everything, there's a big boost in personal favour towards him. Would get the ASD to back off rather quickly, I guess, if the sudden spirit power just disappeared. with her making the initial move there. Anything work? Power sealed. Cool. Still not sure on the... Even with the spirit power making the outfits, I don't think it's entirely necessary. I think a little better than how he's faring. Good. He gave the jacket the remnants of his jacket and shirt. You made it. You didn't die. But screw you. Are they now... Actually breaking character and being back to the kind of obsessive sister type that we saw before. Not so divergent personalities now. Just putting on an act in front of all of the crew. I do think the story with Tokka was a lot more natural. Obviously, mainly because it didn't involve some plan to get some guerrilla force away and go through a city of cold shards tearing at his skin. Also, I'm not sure about the efficacy of... You know about kisses, right? Even though it is to seal power away, but while you've got someone that is suffering so poorly from a mental episode and could be easily misled, is she in all right faculties to understand what's going on? Especially with some other hesitations I have about the character, but I won't mention those for YouTube guideline reasons. If he's going to start living with them, they're going to need somewhere... Huh. Did Yoshinon come along as well? There he is. I wish it was. The idea of this show where you just go around collecting more spirits to add to his new family, getting them all to live happily together, are they all going to go through some level of emotional trauma like Tokka? Or is it that she's actually invested in him, considering they went on a date and got to know each other? Well, I wouldn't say naturally, considering the circumstances, but still. Whereas with Yoshino, it's more just a hero-saviour kind of thing, so an adoration in that respect, rather than romantic. But also, I do like the idea of getting a house upgrade. You know, it would be nice having somewhere else to live where it's not crowded and everyone's within the same couple of rooms. Does this one have ensuite bathrooms? Ocean view, maybe? What kind of amenities are provided? That might make up slightly for the amount of danger and whatnot he's putting himself through. Whether it be very cold, solid water shots, or a high caliber round through the chest. It's not exactly been a calm couple of days. And I will admit, the first couple of episodes, first episode by itself, I was a little perturbed, cautious about this entire show and where it is headed. Now that it's cooled itself off slightly and try to get into the meat of what the show is about and some of the actual honesty and good nature of its main character, there is definitely some interesting aspects to this world. And I do, just as much as you have to despise them, the ST for just going in all guns blazing straight away without doing any sort of outreach or intel properly. You've got these sentient creatures. Should they be the root cause of the spacequakes or not? Rather than try and reach out and have some sort of dialogue so we can kind of understand a bit better, no, just go straight in, blasting. Even with your weaponry, which is almost ineffective. Well, it was against the princess. The hermit was slightly different. She doesn't seem to have the defensive capabilities. That how many spirits are there? How many are going to be quite so approachable, open for dialogue, dates, and home relocation? And all it is while he's still meant to be just attending school and getting relatively decent grades. How does anyone get any work done if you're constantly on the alert for the alarms, run down to the survival shelters? But I was expecting a delivery in 15 minutes. I think I'd risk it. Don't know if the delivery driver would, but It does, now that I'm thinking about it, if that did occur here, Japanese are very different to the British, I understand, but if that happened here and there was, okay, alert, danger of life, spacequakes, everyone leave the streets, go down to the shelters, there would definitely be a select group of people that would ignore that and go around pilfering some goods from any stores left unoccupied. It's just the nature of how the world works now. But at least this place doesn't have to worry about it because, well, their stores get destroyed in the ensuing combat. And how much are we going to hear from Yoshinon now that he's firmly back in her grasp? There is one thing about this show, though. Much like Shido in a previous episode saying one thing that kind of struck a chord with me, I want to see more of, because it definitely somewhat hurt in this one. You need to protect Toka's smile. And at some point, even if it is now a little more in the open about the deal with the spirits and whatnot, they do need to sit down and actually talk about what is going on and his role in it. So, I wonder what kind of events we'll be struck with next. If we've already got two spirits somewhat under control, Toka might need a top-up on this whole sealing routine, considering she just let out the briefest glimpse of power again. But who are we going to be focusing on next? Is it going to be the introduction of a new spirit, or more just confirming everything and settling down a little, have a bit of downtime while we can enjoy it? We'll have to find out. So, if you're looking forward to it, let me know. If you enjoyed this episode, maybe leave a like and a comment down below. Make sure to subscribe to not miss out future episodes, and join onto my Discord if you want to have a chat or a talk about anything that you've seen along here, or just post some questionable memes. But definitely get yourselves a bit of rest. A nice long shower without the risk of being called out to duty. And I'll see you in the next one. If you want to be the ones to return my metaphorical rabbit puppet, consider joining onto my Patreon to help me feel snuggly and safe, and to stop a widespread destruction of the nearby city. And with that in mind, I do need to thank Noku, Sal, Guado, Kite, Raywin, Shiwan, Tori Jane, and everyone else. Because although it may not seem like much, I really don't think my channel would be anywhere near where it is now without all of you.